Welcome to the next edition of Steve and Diane on Alzheimer's.
A caregiving journey.
I'm Steve.
I'm Diane.
And we're here to share our story with our mother, who has Alzheimer's, and our journey as caregivers for her.
Great.
What's our topic today, Diane?
I think today we should talk about when we first got that diagnosis.
Diagnosis, yeah.
Yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was a big deal.
It was. In the last couple episodes, we talked about getting the diagnosis and everybody just shaking our hand and saying, good luck, like Liam Neeson. And it wasn't quite like that, but that diagnosis can lead to a lot of interesting things, and we'll talk about that in today's episode. So take us back. We first encountered the tragedy of Nancy.
The first, well, I don't think I would call it that, but
The Star Wars reference.
the first thing that we noticed was, just as a recap, that Mom was repeating herself a lot, and that had been going on for a long time. I think my dad was compensating. I think our dad was compensating.
We all probably were.
Right, and
He
he kind of didn't really want to talk about it. He didn't really want it to be true. So she'd been kind of repeating herself a lot for a long time and doing some kind of odd things here and there. With cooking and some of the things she was doing around the house and some, hiding things and some odd things. And then eventually she had kind of an episode, which I think we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm. But you gotta, I think, just to that point, if you have loved ones or someone you're concerned about and they're repeating themselves all the time and they, are just keep saying the same things over like I am, just check on that. Take them to your primary care physician and just say something isn't quite right.
At least get the ball rolling into figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
Even though we're going to sit here and explain to you some not very pleasant things that happened during that process for us.
Right.
So the first thing that we did after that, there was kind of an event where Mom didn't know who she was, didn't know who my dad was, and was very kind of had like what we're calling a sundowners episode where she was very irritated, very agitated, and
I think we call that the
my
pinnacle
dad
event.
right. My dad finally said, okay, yeah, we need to go find out what's going on with her.
But that event scared the crap out of everybody.
It did.
That was where he was driving home, and all of a sudden she's like, "Who are you? Why am I in this car? I don't know what's going on." Yeah, she was scared to death, and she wanted to get out, and she was trying to get out. But he finally made it home and tried to calm her down, and then called me and you, and nobody knew what was going on. So we were at a family event all together, and everybody was cool. But then coming home, it all shifted, so nobody was prepared for this. But had we maybe paid a little closer attention, as you were saying, to the repeating and forgetting and just that kind of behavior would have helped.
I think we paid a ton of attention to that. I think we weren't getting a lot of reception from the person who needed to take her to the doctor.
Got it.
Yeah, because I was very concerned and brought it up, and I know I talked to you about it, and
right.
You were bringing it up, and we were kind of concerned with her behavior. But
okay, so you
can't make people do things.
Pay attention to that,
right?
And
maybe we should have done something different. Maybe we should have insisted in a different way, or approached that in a different way. But yeah, I think we waited way too long to go through.
It's been a little while now,
that process.
I'm getting hazy in some of those details.
Right.
All right, so then.
So the first thing we did was go to our primary care physician.
Yeah.
And I think I went on that.
So he was your primary care physician too, right?
Right.
Then,
we all go to the right. Mom and Dad and I and my family go to the same primary care physician. So the doctor had known our family for a very long time.
Yeah, super nice doctor.
Super nice. And the first thing he did was we talked to Mom and kind of ask her how things were going and whatever, and he brought out a test, basically, a paper test that was, I don't even know what it's called, but I'll look on this paper because we brought it along. It's called Mini-Cog, and it tests cognition, and it is kind of the first step in testing for Alzheimer's. So that's what he did, and then he talked to Mom for a while about, just ask her some simple questions, ask her to explain some things, and tried to have a conversation with her, and saw that she was repeating and, not having the kind of conversation that he would have expected to have from her.
Right.
And he's very fond of her, so
Yeah.
it made him sad at the appointment. I mean, we could tell that it made him sad. And then he gave her this test, which it really only has 3 questions. The first is a 3-word recognition.
Hit me out.
All right. So the first,
This may need to be deleted or edited.
so there's 6 versions of a 3-word combination, and when you're giving this test, you're supposed to ask the person to remember these 3 words. So your 3 words are banana, sunrise, and chair.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Okay.
All right. So you keep that in your mind.
How long do I have to remember that for?
And then you'll see, it's a part of the test. There's another step, and then you return back to the 3-word recall. So the second part of the step is to draw a clock. So there is the back of this test, which I can hold up here. And it's got a circle. And you ask the person to draw the face of an analog clock. And the specific question is, first put all the numbers where they're supposed to go. And you give them an opportunity to complete that. So I will give you this. I brought a pencil.
Ooh, you did.
And you're supposed to draw the face of the clock on that circle.
Should I try an iPhone now? I think that's how we all tell our time. Or my digital clock. But I'm supposed to do it at a certain time. Oh, no, okay. That comes later.
Right, after you draw all the pieces onto the clock, and then the second question is, set the hands to 10 past 11.
Okay, I just remember that part.
Right.
So let me draw a clock.
Right. And one of the things, one of the reasons we're going through this test is that we'll put a link to this test in our description. In case you have some concerns about someone and you want to work through this and see if, maybe your concerns are valid. And also because one of the things that happens when you realize that one of your parents has Alzheimer's is thinking, is this hereditary? And oh my gosh, every time you forget something or can't remember a word, or you get lost when you're out driving because you took a wrong turn or something, it's a little scary. And you think, oh, is this the first sign?
Self-fulfilling prophecy, law of attraction.
Is this the first? Is this the first sign? Right.
Okay, I drew a clock.
All right, let's.
A clock face. Now, what time am I supposed to do it at?
You're supposed to make the clock hands say 10 past 11.
10 past 11. Okay.
Yep. And this part is not a memory test, so I can repeat the instructions as many times as you need.
Is that right? The little short one points to 11, the long one points to 2.
Sounds
Check
good.
my work, please.
Excellent. All right. Now, when our mom did this test, I distinctly remember that when she drew the clock, the numbers were not in the circle. And the hands were not in the circle either. And the hands were not pointing at all. And she was pretty sure, she kept asking, was it okay? Was it okay? So I don't know if she kind of thought she wasn't getting it or if she thought she was getting it, but it made me cry in the doctor's office. I tried not to, but it did. So the next thing of this test is to ask you what the 3 words we asked you previously were.
Did you ask me 3 words?
I did. Don't joke like that. Not funny. What are your 3 words?
Banana,
Banana.
sunrise, chair.
Banana, sunrise, chair. Exactly right. So then there's some scoring on the bottom. Again, and we'll put a link for this. 1 point for each of the words you recall without any clues. And you get a couple of points for drawing the clock correctly, and then you get a couple more points for drawing the time correctly. And the total score is out of 5. So in this case, you got 5 out of 5. So
All right.
hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but at the top here, there's a bunch of categories of 3 sets of words. So you can pick those and change that up a little bit, some other description, and then of course on the back was the circle to draw the clock, and then of course I'm showing off my artwork.
Right.
You know, so something like that, I guess it would look like, and I don't think we have the results, but that'd be kind of interesting just to, I'm sure you can Google
It was a very
other
surreal
people's
clock.
results. Yeah, I mean, it might be worthwhile to do that. Google the Minicog results from a normal person,
I think it tells you on
more
there.
likely from a dementia patient. But anyway, this is a good start. It's something I just did a quick little search for, and Alzheimer's dementia cognitive test, I think, is what I probably put in.
Right.
And that came up with this right away. And there's just a couple sponsor things, but just get past that in the Minicog. But again, as Diane said, we'll put a link to this in the show notes. So
Right.
here we go. All right. It's a silly little test, but I was still a little nervous to think, am I going to remember these words? And it's silly, but
It
when you
does
see
make
people
you
have
think
that,
like
yeah.
that, because it is it devastated who our mom is, and
Yeah.
to think about my son and my spouse to go through the things that we've gone through with mom. It's scary.
Yep.
Yeah.
We
I am
we have a
constantly
contingency
thinking.
plan.
I am constantly thinking about, can I remember these words? Can I remember this number? Can I type this security code in
Yeah.
after I read it on my email,
Right.
without copying it, constantly kind of testing myself just to make sure,
Yeah.
is the brain still working? And
I do that too. Like we'll be sitting there watching a show and it's like, oh, well, look at that actor. She or he was in this other movie. What was it? And immediately my wife would go to the phone and say, oh, let me Google it and search
Right.
for it. And I'm like, no, let's just think about it for a minute. I'll come up with it.
Right.
I just want to think about it. For
I
a
need to
minute.
test myself.
Yeah, I need to
to test my
myself.
memory.
Yeah.
Right.
And usually they're pretty good.
And we're laughing, but it is. I think a normal
We're
thing.
terrified.
I think it's a normal thing to be afraid of, and maybe at some point we'll do an episode on how the hereditary thing works. Maybe we can find some experts to talk to about that.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Right.
might be cool.
It would be very cool.
So back to the doctor's appointment.
Yes.
Our primary care doctor realized by this quick test that he was not the person that mom needed to see, and kind of sent us to I think a geriatric center actually, where they had a neurologist. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They had an Alzheimer expert there that could do some follow-up testing, which we went to, and I think you went to that one too then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they took it back and they did the same test, I think, again.
They might have, I can't
They
remember.
did, or they
some
had
other
it
testing.
or something like that.
Right.
But they started off and then they ran some other tests and said, yep, something's going on here. We recommend.
I don't think they had a recommendation.
Yeah.
I think they said, yeah, we agree with your primary care physician that she has Alzheimer's. And we're sorry.
I'm trying to put together how we went from there to the next step. but,
I think it was because they had nothing to offer us.
yeah.
They said, you know, there's gonna be a decline and here's some pamphlets to read and, you
Good
know.
luck.
Yeah, good luck, right. And that was a bit devastating for us, cause
A bit.
we thought, oh yeah, we're gonna go see this expert, we're all gonna go, we're gonna learn about how we can help mom, and we're gonna learn how to take care of her better, and, you know. And in the meantime, because it took a little while to get that appointment, you know, in the meantime, you know, my dad was struggling with taking care of her.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
He was never the person who, you know, fed them or took care of the house, or, you know, he took care of the outside, you know, they had a, I don't know, traditional kind of, I don't know if that's the way to talk about it, but, you know, they had a kind of relationship where he cut the grass and you know, she fed them, and now that they were retired, they would grocery shop together, but, you know, he didn't really pay a lot of attention to what they needed and you know.
He did not cook.
No.
But she was a good cook, pretty good cook, so
Right.
That was something that she didn't mind doing.
Right, but wasn't capable of doing at all at that point, and actually hadn't been capable of doing it for a very long time.
Right.
We just didn't realize that, you know, we noticed that we'd go over there and there'd be Kentucky Fried Chicken.
For Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right, and different
Yeah.
things with who wasn't cooking, and he would just kind of say, oh yeah, you know, we don't want your mom to be in the kitchen all the time or whatever. And,
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
But there was more to it, I think, that was going on, and I'm laughing now thinking about it, but, you know, I wish it had gone that way. I don't know what would have happened if we had done something earlier, and having gone to see these experts, I don't think anything would have happened differently.
Right.
I don't think they have much to offer in terms
Well-
of Alzheimer's care, and maybe if you catch it really early, they do,
Yeah.
now.
Let's go down that path.
Right.
You know, why pursue it further after it's pretty obvious? You know, we were looking at this, there was obvious dementia, she had a lot of dementia, and she had this Sundowner syndrome, which was just super scary,
Right.
because she was a sweet lady in the day, and then when the sun was coming down, she turned into an evil monster, you know? Seriously, it was crazy. And she'd get up in the middle of the night or wouldn't sleep at all and just pace the house, and therefore our dad could not sleep at all either.
Right.
And then I was kind of nervous because I'd be waiting if she fell or did something strange, he would just call me and say, hey, get over here. And that happened quite a lot, so.
Or if she wanted to leave, sometimes she wanted to leave.
Yeah, right. Why she'd grab the car keys and hold on to them and hide them and things like that. But the point of the diagnosis, so you know, we got this. It was pretty clear that was what was happening. But you know, I work at a hospital system, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the best because
Right.
you know, we have the best in the hospital. It's great. So I researched and found out and talked to a lot of people and said, hey, I need to go to neurology and I need to have this discussion. And I'm all still thinking, even though I did this research paper back in college on Alzheimer's and I wrote up about all the plaques and all. I
You did?
I have a really extensive research paper on it. I do on Alzheimer's and but you know, just the pathology of it.
Right,
But
right.
so I went and found one of the leading docs, and we got an MRI and we got some brain scans and said, look here, it's shrinking, it's smaller, you know, the plaques are forming, and this is pretty classic. We can see all these from the images, right? So, all right, what can we do? Good luck. And that's,
Right.
we got the good luck again, you know, there wasn't anything anybody can do. And so that's where we struggled at that. But now we had something concrete, we had some images, we had a diagnosis. And why would that diagnosis be useful? Well, it can be helpful for insurance reasons. So getting a proper diagnosis and bringing in care into your home when you can't care for them at all or enough, and giving you a relief, because you as a caregiver have to have a break. You know, you can't go on and just say, this is my lot in life, you know, I'm this is my husband or my wife or my significant other, and I gotta take care of them now till death do we part or whatever, right?
Especially if Sundowners is involved, because boy, when the sun goes down, something clicks and
They just change.
it's very, it is a very difficult situation to relax anymore in the evenings.
Ever
And-
again,
Right,
honestly.
right. And there was a lot of research that we ended up doing regarding that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we found was that if you could leave the room during those situations for a few minutes, even just 5 or 10 minutes, you know, it's difficult because you want to keep the person safe and they need supervision. But if you can leave for a few minutes and come back in and act as though none of those things that just broke your heart happened,
Right.
and say, oh,
That's
hey,
good
hi,
advice. Yeah.
hi mom, how you doing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Alzheimer's will forget and the person isn't in that same place anymore and will see you and be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a whole new situation. And even though 5 minutes ago I was yelling and screaming and throwing things at you, right now I'm not in that place anymore because you left for a minute and
Yeah.
my brain let go of that and coming back in and being in a happy mood and without the yelling, without the whatever that was going on, without the tension, can sometimes break that. And that was a powerful tool for us.
Distraction.
Very difficult for my dad to learn,
Yeah.
but
He had to
really
learn.
useful, right?
But distraction is a powerful tool.
Distraction.
Right. And a reset, as Diane said,
Right.
and to leave and come back in. And just to go along the lines with that, it's kind of interesting because you'll see your loved one respond to someone they don't know much better than they respond with you. And I think,
Right.
I'm only guessing here, that they do have some sort of recognition, but the pathway doesn't exist that way anymore. So they comprehend that you might look different because they might have past memories and remember you when you were 20 and now you're 60, or
Right.
remember life as they were when they were 10. And so they're like, this person, I recognize that I know them from somewhere, but they don't look like what I'm expecting them to look like anymore because those particular memory synapses didn't fire or
Right.
are blocked or something. And so that's
Right.
super frustrating and scary for anybody to react with.
It definitely felt sometimes like mom was trapped in a certain age, like
Yeah.
in her early teens, even before she met my dad. You know, because sometimes during those Sundowner episodes, she would speak as though she needed to go and ask her mom if she could talk to us, or she acted as though maybe she was very young.
Yeah.
And we would kind of go with,
6 or 12.
really?
Yeah. At many points in time.
At different points, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would kind of try to get in that space with her, and be where she was. And sometimes that would be a way of calming her down too.
Yeah.
You know, we would let go of needing her to know who we are and who we are to her, and kind of get more into a place of, oh, well, you know, do you need me to call your mom, or do you need me to help you do something? And sometimes that was comforting to her.
And so she started asking where her mom and dad were.
Well, and you know, sometimes,
You don't tell them they're dead, by the way.
right,
You
because
know.
they're gonna relive that moment right then.
Yep.
Because
And you
in
keep
their
telling them,
brain,
they will
don't-
keep reliving
they
that
will
moment.
keep reliving
And
it,
that's just
right.
cruel. Don't do that.
Right.
Just do distraction. Just say, oh, you know, we're not here right now, and you know, maybe we can talk to them later and things like
Right.
that. But
Right.
I feel like we're going a little bit off topic of
We are so going off topic of our diagnosis.
This
Yes.
is just very therapeutic for us. So we
Right,
get on these.
right.
So bear with us a little bit. But the diagnosis. So we went to a top neurologist at the hospital system.
Correct.
We got an MRI. We got some brain scans. We realized there were some physiological and anatomical changes in the brain that pointed directly to that. But there's also, that's important because you also need to realize what type of dementia is going on, whether it's Alzheimer's with amyloid plaques, or Lewy bodies, or vascular dementia, or any other kind of, there's multiple dementias out there, and by knowing what you're dealing with can help you. Like if it's vascular dementia, there might be a possibility that vasculature can be remedied or healed with surgery or vibrational therapy or chiropractic, a lot of things like that can help alleviate that vascular issue. So medication, of course, as well. So
the other thing a diagnosis helps with is getting your paperwork in order, because our dad obviously needed to get some paperwork done, needed to get that diagnosis so that he could make decisions for our mom, and so that he could make financial decisions for her, and so that he could make health decisions for her, because she was not in a place where she could make them anymore.
Right. So get durable power of attorney, get
yeah, we should do a whole episode on
we have to.
That paperwork.
Yep.
But definitely need to make sure that you can make decisions for your loved one.
Yeah, and
as their caregiver.
And do that as quick as possible. And we were all sort of devastated by that, and we kind of put it off and thought maybe this was going to go away. One day we'd wake up and everything would be fine, but never did. So it would be in your best interest to get those done, get a will, get a trust fund, all those things to get easily transferred, because when someone can't make that decision, the government might just take it all and
What are you talking about?
What?
The government's going to take it all.
Yeah, because if they put it in probate court? Is that what it is?
For finances?
Yeah. So if they passed away before anything was done, a will or
of course.
a trust.
Of course.
Then,
but we are so far from the whole passing away thing.
I know. I'm just trying to help.
Okay.
I'm just trying to suggest that as soon as you get a diagnosis and there's still some cognition left, get these things done.
Right.
Yes.
And at some point we need to say, hey, they can't make decisions, and then we need to appoint someone to make decisions.
Right.
Because that can be really difficult too if we can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So put all that together. So anyway, we have a diagnosis now. We have a expectations, at least based on that diagnosis. We have some legal issues taken care of, and then and also with that diagnosis, that might be able to help with placing them in a home or a memory care facility or full-on.
All of those things need copies of the diagnosis every time. Yes. Yes.
And then hospice can come in and play a role, and hospice can actually be a really benefit. I think we've been on and off hospice for a couple times, and it's just I think they were great. We've had
I agree. Hospice can be very helpful.
Some nurses will come in, check on your loved one at least once or twice a week, and do a full workup and give them a bath and check out their all their body, make sure nothing else is going on there, and really just spend some time with it. And I found Mom really likes these hospice nurses a lot and spends some good time. I think they know how to handle and deal with these patients a lot, which is a great asset. So
right. Once we got our diagnosis and were told good luck, and basically went back home, we kind of got into a role where if there was an emergency at nighttime, you would kind of go. And then during the week, I would take Mom here for a couple of days, probably 2 days a week. And she would come over here for a couple of hours just to give Dad a break, and so he could sleep if she was up during the night. He wasn't getting a lot of sleep, and so he could kind of get some break. And so she'd be here a couple days a week, and then you would be on call at nighttime in case they had any episodes at nighttime. And then also on the weekend, you would go over there and kind of give Dad a break and give him some time where he could, you know, spend some
Grocery
time
shop
with you or
or
grocery
hang out.
shop or, right, whatever he needed to do. And, or just hang out, which is oftentimes what he just wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. And we kind of got into a little bit of a routine there, but I think when I look back on that, I think the hardest part of that was that we were learning how to take care of Mom and how to take care of Dad. I felt like we were learning this all on our own. Like there were things that kind of worked, like we talked about leaving for 5 minutes and coming back. And we kept kind of learning on our own what was working with Mom and what wasn't. And I think there are a lot of things that work with most Alzheimer's patients, or that work with many Alzheimer's patients. And there are a lot of resources out there, and I would love to see us do kind of an episode on what those resources are and what some of those things that worked for us are.
Yeah, the Alzheimer's Association has a 24-hour hotline, which we called many times, and they walked us off the ledge and gave us a bunch of resources. We've gone and met with some folks. They gave us opportunities to go and see speakers on this. Teepa Snow is a fantastic resource. And
she was really helpful.
Yeah, because she broke it down.
Gives you this perspective of what it's like from the person with Alzheimer's point of view, and that was so helpful.
It was.
Yeah.
Because their vision changes. So she helped us like this. She said, take your eyes and go like this. And that's how an Alzheimer's patient sees. They can't see your peripheral vision anymore. So a lot of times they're startled when you walk up next to them, or you're trying to stick a pill or some food in their mouth from the side.
Right.
They have no idea because they can't even see you or feel that anymore.
That was a huge clarity.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's why this is so hard.
Let me get in front of her and engage her eyes, so when she sees me, then I know she's engaged.
And the perspective of, of Mom thinking to herself possibly, hey, I go to the bathroom by myself, why the heck are you trying to help me? Or, I eat by myself, why are you trying to help me? And why are you trying to help me, get dressed? And I'm already dressed. And that there were so many things regarding the day-to-day care of her that were so difficult that should have been somehow easier. There's got to be this collective knowledge out here of all these people taking care of all these people with Alzheimer's that we can share and make this easier.
Yeah.
Which we might want to wrap up soon on that note.
Yeah,
right?
We'll put some of those in those topic points in the show notes. Teepa Snow and the Alzheimer's Association and a link to the test.
Yes.
Which I passed, by the way.
Yes, you did.
So get out there. If you're concerned or scared, it's going to get worse if you don't confront it now. So go see your primary care physician, get a conversation going with them, take a couple of these initial tests, and if you think you need to pursue it further, take it to the next step and get that concrete diagnosis, so that can be helpful in the future. Right. And then at least you've got stuff lined up in front of you that you need to take care of, legal documentation and financial documentation, and just kind of go down the path and be prepared. Use those resources. The Alzheimer's Association is like a top-notch resource for all that. They're there to help in 24 hours, 7 days a week. So with that, what was next week going to be about? Do we have that yet? I know we told her a bunch.
What we talked about for next week was, we talk a lot about caregiving for our mom, and I kind of alluded to that earlier, but what we really found was, wow, we really needed to do some caregiving for our dad. And I think next week we're going to talk a little bit about that, and about how eye-opening that was for us, and how we kind of had to change our perspective a little bit, where we kind of thought, well, okay, we're helping take care of Mom, but we really needed to help take care of both of them. So thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. I guess this is really watching.
Yeah. That made me stop and think about it.
Right, I know, right?
Well, I'm gonna tune in for next time.
Right.
It might not actually be next week. I said next week, but we will do our best.
And stupidly, some of these things we weren't talking about at the time they were going on. We were such in kind of survival mode that we weren't. And sometimes these things come up and we're talking about them in depth for the first time. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we tangent.
that's why we
So,
tangent. Yes. Plus we're
hopefully-
siblings, so that's how we talk to each other.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right.
All right. Well, great. Thanks for joining us again. Hopefully our story gave you a little bit of knowledge and got some action. And if you have any questions for us, throw it in the show notes. We've been keeping track of that.
Sure.
And
We've got some great comments. I really loved going through them.
yeah, we appreciate your time and your attention, and we respect your journey because we're all on the same one.
Right.
All right. See you
Take
next
care.
time.
Bye-bye.